To build this timeline, arrange task anchors. Timescale elements. And interval shapes around the timeline shape. Copy the timeline shape from the worksheet, where it was created earlier, and paste it, where new timeline will be created. Copy and paste task anchor shape, also created earlier. Make copies for 4 weeks. And arrange them horizontally. Copy and paste the arranged shapes next to the timeline shape. Distribute horizontally. And then align them to the vertical grid lines. Zoom to 200% for precise alignment to the grid lines. Join the anchors together into 4 groups using Group Objects command on the Format tab. Then set the shape properties to Don't Move or Size with Cells. Copy and paste timescale that has already been created in this worksheet. Before doing so, make sure links to start date and source data are still working correctly. As the start date and the source data are now located elsewhere in this worksheet, first, move these back closer to the timescale. Do not use copy and paste. Instead, use cut and paste. Make a selection, hold down Ctrl, press X on the keyboard, and then paste to new location. In this way, links to other shapes and formulas will not be affected. Linked shapes, like elements, in this timescale, on the other hand, can be either duplicated with copy and paste, or moved using cut and paste within the same worksheet. Their links to the source data, or any formulas, will not be affected. Now, check that the first element in this timescale is directly linked to the respective data cell, and indirectly to the start date. Arrange and align the elements just like task anchors. Timeline intervals have also been created, so they can be copied and pasted too. If you have opted for option 1, use the time intervals created for this option, otherwise use the intervals from option 2. Make sure dynamic links are still working. Ungroup the time intervals, copy the first 4, and paste next to the timeline. Arrange interval shapes over the timeline shape. Place the first and the last interval on top of the timeline, and the other two just below in the middle. Select all, and align to top. Now select only the intervals, and distribute them horizontally. Join the shapes together into a single group. Move this grouped shape up until it partially overlaps the time scale. While the shape is still selected, use Send to Back command on the Format tab to make time scale fully visible. Join the shapes together into a single group once again. Finally, complete the timeline building by reducing the gap between the grouped shapes and task anchors, while still keeping them separate. Rearrange the worksheet contents so that only the timeline and its parameters appear in the view, whereas the source data, associated calculations, and interval shapes are placed onto out-of-view location in the worksheet. To format column widths, click the Select All button on the Home tab. Click on Format, and set column widths as specified here in the text box. To draw the outline, select Arrange for the outline. On the Home tab, click on arrow next to More Borders icon, select More Borders. Go to the Border tab after choosing the color and line style. Click on the Outline button. Choose white color, or a color that matches your worksheet background, if it is not white. Then click on the Inside button. Before moving any data or shapes, make sure you have a latest backup copy of your worksheet, in case links between data and shapes or formulas are broken by mistake. Move timeline parameters. Select all the parameters, hold down Ctrl, press X on the keyboard, and then paste onto destination cells. Links to other shapes or formulas will be updated automatically. Format parameters cell, as specified in this text box. For plan start date, use data validation to restrict the dates that can be entered into this cell. On Data tab, in the Data Tools group, click on Data Validation icon. on Settings tab, choose Custom. And enter this formula into the formula box. Number 2, in the formula, ensures that only dates for Mondays will be accepted. Choose another, suitable number, if your week does not start on Monday. For weeks count, also restrict the numbers that can be entered into the cell to 0 and 1 only by using data validation. Move timeline. Copy and paste the timeline. Before moving it to the outline, make sure task anchors are aligned to the vertical grid lines so that, later on, when tasks are added, they can be aligned quickly using Snap to Grid option, if necessary. Task anchors aligned to the grid lines, along with Snap to Grid option, provide an effective way of realigning tasks on the timeline when it is necessary to do so. This is an exact copy of this timeline section. The only difference is, task anchors are not aligned to the vertical grid lines in this copy. I will now realign misaligned tasks in both of them. First, turn on Snap to Grid option. Select each task text box in turn, and move right or left arrow key on the keyboard to realign the task. This demonstration clearly shows the effectiveness and usefulness of having tasks anchors aligned to the grid lines. When they are aligned so, as in this timeline section, misaligned tasks can be realigned with Snap to Grid option very quickly. Select the timeline, use up arrow to slide it up into the outline. Make sure dynamic links are still working. If dynamic links fail to work, save and close the workbook. Reopen it, and the links will start working again, provided that they have not been broken by mistake. Delete contents that are no longer required. Move the source data, associated calculations, and additional interval shapes to out of view location on the worksheet. Hopefully, this and the other 3 timeline videos will be clear and easy to understand, and you will be able to create the timeline and organize your tasks in Microsoft Excel without any difficulty. If there is anything in these videos that you do not understand, or have a question about creating the timeline, please Let me know about these by posting a comment, and I will try to help.